It got cold awful quick, so I'm a big believer in just you need to be as comfortable as possible. It's, it's already a bit cool. We don't need it colder with those windows open. Good grief. All right. Hi, everybody. How are you? Welcome. Let's get started officially then, I guess. Again, welcome to the Dharma Bum Temple for the Wednesday Loving Kindness meditation. It is wonderful to have all of you here today. My name is Alex, and I'm going to be leading this meditation today. Is there anyone here brand new to the Dharma Bum Temple? Awesome. How did you hear about us?
From Daya.
Oh, again. Nice.
Friend in Colorado, actually.
Really? Wow, beautiful.
Google search.
Oh, Google. Nice. Whew. I love it.
Yeah.
Is there anyone here who is not new to the Dharma Bum Temple, but maybe this is your first time to Wednesday? Awesome. Thank you for coming. So in Buddhism, we say this word loving kindness, but the word we're actually talking about is called metta. M-E-T-T-A, metta. And metta comes from the Pali language, and the Pali language is a language is pretty close to what the historical Buddha spoke. The historical Buddha spoke something they just called the Magadhan language. Magadha was one of the big kingdoms of India at the time. And when this word metta gets translated, into English 2,500 years later, they translated it as loving kindness, but it's the richness of the meaning of this word is such that, there was a monk who threw like a whole bunch of words that it could mean, so loving kindness, unconditional friendliness, goodwill, concord, amity, inoffensiveness, gentleness, humility, all of these things. And so, it's all of those things. And it's really just a wish to be happy, a wish for ourselves and for others to be happy. And more importantly, a wish for ourselves and others to do the things that cause happiness, right? And so if we want happiness for our enemy, let's say, that could be kind of difficult. But if we understand what the causes of happiness is, it becomes a lot easier. And if you know anything about the motto of the Dharma Bum Temple, then you know what causes happiness. And the motto of the Dharma Bum Temple is think good thoughts, speak good words, do good deeds. That's it. Generally speaking, those are the things that cause happiness. Of course, over time, when you get into Buddhism and you really get into the kind of the nitty-gritty of it, it's a bit more nuanced than that, because it also implies the right intention and the right time, right, as well. But essentially, we're just going to work with think good thoughts, speak good words, do good deeds. We want that for ourselves. We want that for others, right? And so that's kind of what our meditation is going to be about today, or this evening, I should say. So what I would like to do, since there are a lot of people here, is I would like to read the Buddha's own words on loving kindness. And this comes from the Metta Sutra. Oops. And a sutra, again, is just a teaching. And sometimes you'll hear the word sutta, or sometimes you hear the word sutra. Same word, different language. Sutra is Sanskrit, and sutta is Pali. Pali essentially is it's kind of like a dialect of Sanskrit. And so, for about 500 years after the Buddha died in about 483 BC, everything was an oral tradition. It was handed down orally. And so if you read any of the Buddhist sutras, it has very much kind of a repetitive nature to it. And that's because when they would teach the monks how to teach the monks this sutra, they needed this kind of repetitive nature so they can like memorize it, And so, eventually things were written down about 500 years later, sometime in the 1st century CE. And plus, way back then, most people were illiterate anyway, so the oral tradition was just the best way to pass things down. But they eventually wrote it down. And this is the Buddha's words on loving kindness. He says, "This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud or demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing, in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child. So with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will. Whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. That's pretty amazing to me that this comes from 2,500 years ago. And so this is how we should try to live our life. And if we do so, then the Buddha, makes this grand promise, which is pretty common with some of the sutras in the canon. He makes this grand promise, that the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Like, that's it. No more rebirth, no more nothing. What's after that? Who knows? But it's not this. It's not a life of suffering. Or I should say, it's not a life where there exists suffering. It's kind of a better way to put it. So keep that in mind as much as you can during this meditation. And the way we're going to do this meditation is this. So we're going to spend a couple of minutes just getting connected to the breath. And then we're going to do this meditation for our benefactor. And a benefactor is anyone who has shown us great love or great kindness. Someone it's really easy to have these feelings for, like mother, father, brother, sister, cousin, friend, someone on TV you really like, someone who's really meant something to you. You've actually experienced their love and their kindness in your own heart, right? They could be living, they could be not living. So if you have like a grandmother who's been dead for a while, you can use her. That's perfectly acceptable. You can use one person, you can use 20 people. Doesn't matter. It's all up to you, right? And then we're going just to kind of wish them loving kindness. And you can do so by just radiating loving kindness to them, as it says in the sutra. Now, and however you understand that word radiate, or you could just repeat phrases of loving kindness for them, and I'll give you some, during the meditation. And so secondly, then we're going to imagine our benefactor doing this practice for us. And so the only thing that we have to do in this part of the meditation is just receive all of their loving kindness. Right? They're a benefactor for a reason, right? We've already experienced their loving kindness towards us. So just call that to mind and imagine them doing this practice for us and just receive all of it. It could be the same one, a different one, it doesn't matter. Then we're going to do this practice for ourselves. Right? Loving kindness for ourselves. And then we're going to do this practice for all beings in all directions, just like it says in the sutra, radiating over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded. So just go as far out as you can. And however you really want to do that is really okay. Right? So that's it. Any questions before we start? Oh, really quickly before we start, if anybody is sitting in a pew or a chair and your feet don't comfortably reach the floor, you can get a cushion. I have one here, they have some in the back, and you can just put your feet on that. So just an option if you want to do that. Or if they're cold, you could do that. Always make sure I wear nice comfy socks here. All right, any questions before we begin our meditation on loving kindness? Don't worry about it. Just let these words just kind of wash over you. Don't get too caught up in one part of it. If you need to take a break and just kind of open your eyes for a little bit and take a few deep breaths, and you can do that. All right. Here we go. So just allow your eyes to close, making sure you have that nice, comfortable, and sustainable seated position so you're not likely to move around too much. You want to stay as still as we can, but sometimes that's not always possible. So if you need to move, that's okay. Just, mindful, slow movements are normally best. And when we sit like a Buddha. And we can even imagine ourselves as a Buddha sitting underneath your own tree of enlightenment. Because each Buddha in antiquity has their own tree of enlightenment, their own separate tree. Ready for the day's abiding. So what we're going to do at first is just get connected to the breath. So let's just take a deep breath all the way in. And all the way out. At first, not forcing it, letting the breath be quite easy and quite natural. Following the breath, in the body, up through the nose and into the heart and down into the navel. And on the exhale from the navel, up through the heart, back out the nose. All the way in and then all the way out. And just stay focused as much as you can on the breath energy going all the way in and all the way out. So for the next few moments, let's just rest as gently as we can in the sensations of the breath. So to begin our formal practice of loving kindness, unconditional friendliness, goodwill, metta, we're going to call to mind a benefactor. Again, a benefactor is anyone who has shown us great love or great kindness. Someone it's really easy to have these feelings for. And remembering, calling to mind all the ways in which they have benefited us. We wish them loving kindness. We wish that they do the things that cause happiness. And you can do so just by radiating loving kindness to them. Sometimes I like to imagine a beam of loving kindness going from my heart to theirs, and it's different colors, and it's pulsating, and it's vibrating, and all those different sorts of things that evoke this wonderful feeling of loving kindness. Or I just repeat phrases of loving kindness for them, like, may you be happy. May you be safe from inner and outer danger. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at peace and live at ease in this world. You can use one or more of those phrases or a phrase of your own concoction, so long as it has a loving and a kind intention behind it. And we do this, and hopefully we can smile. Smiling makes everything better. It doesn't have to be a big one. So now, let's do this practice of loving kindness for our benefactor. And now shifting our focus just a little bit from loving kindness for our benefactor to now just imagining our benefactor doing this practice for us. And we already have the experience of their loving kindness towards us, so just call that to mind. Imagine them looking at you, smiling, radiating loving kindness towards you, however you want. And just receive all of it. Receive all of it again. Receive all of their love and all of their kindness, all of their well wishes, all of their good intentions for you. And sometimes it helps to put your hand over your heart if you want to do that. Feeling for any tightness or any tension, any part of your heart that says, no, I can't receive all of this. And if you feel that that's okay, can you then just breathe into that tenseness and that tightness and see if it can soften. If it does, great. If not, that's okay too. Just still, to the best of your ability, just receive all of their love, receive all of their kindness. And so we'll do this for the next few moments, imagining our benefactor or benefactors doing this practice for us. And now, kind of arguably the most important part of this meditation is now, can we do this practice of loving kindness, metta, unconditional friendliness, goodwill? Can we do that for ourselves? Our benefactor and all of the people who have ever shown us love or kindness thought that we were deserving of it. They can't be wrong, right? I don't think so. And you can either just imagine your heart getting bigger and warmer, kind of like the Grinch. In many ways, we are the Grinch because our hearts, our loving kindness for ourselves, the heart for that is just 3 sizes too small. Can we make our heart bigger, warmer? Can we just repeat phrases of loving kindness for ourselves? You can do that. Again, may I be happy. May I be safe from inner or outer danger. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at peace and live at ease in this world. Still smiling if you can, still putting your hand over your heart if you want. Whatever's going to make this easier. You don't have to necessarily feel anything. Can you just do the practice in the best way that you can? Because no one is more deserving of your love and care than yourself. Can we remember that as we do this part of the practice? And now finally, we can explore the limitless potential of the heart. Because all of our human hearts have this limitless potential to be open to loving kindness for all beings in all directions. Just like it says in this sutra, whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living far away, those born or to be born, may all beings be at ease. Spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded. We have this recollection as we do this practice for all beings in all directions. And just open your eyes when you're ready. And let's just take the next moment or two out in silence as we stretch our arms and stretch our legs. And while we do so, just keeping that mindfulness of loving kindness about us, for ourselves, for others. We can still wish ourselves and wish others happiness while we do so. Just stay in that loving kindness mindset as much as you can. And then we'll continue. There was wonderful kind of presence, energy in this room that I certainly appreciated. I don't know if anyone else felt that, but I certainly did. And it just makes the leading of the meditation and the meditation itself just that much more enjoyable. So I'm super grateful for that. Maybe I was just in the right space because and I live up in North County, and I leave my home at 6:00 to get here at 7, and I usually stop downstairs to pet the dog, Star, and spend some time licking my face, and we spend some time cuddling before I come up here. And so it was so cold when I came up here, and all the windows were open. I'm like, no, it's just too cold. This isn't gonna work out. The thing is that this the practice of meditation, although the instructions are relatively simple, the practice of doing it can be a struggle. Keeping our mind focused on the present and keeping those, knowing what to do with those intrusive thoughts that inevitably, come in, and trying, or whatever comes up during meditation, or all those different types of things that we have to think about to make our meditation more fruitful and just a more pleasant, I think, or useful experience. So, like when you're doing this at home or whatever, just get as comfortable as possible. Not so comfortable that you're going to fall asleep, because you want to be awake and you want to be alert, of course. But don't be a masochist about it. We already pretty terrible to ourselves, pretty much. So just treat yourself really kindly in meditation and in your spiritual practice. Because I know that nobody comes to spiritual practice because their life is so wonderful. I haven't met that person yet. I mean, maybe they're out there. I don't know. So let me ask first and foremost: is any questions on the instructions at all? Hopefully they were relatively straightforward. But if there are any questions on the instructions, I'm happy to talk about that. Okay. And since there are a lot of people here, relatively a lot of people here tonight, a lot of different experiences of meditation, I kind of relayed a little bit about what was going through my mind, or kind of what I felt, but that doesn't have to be your experience. You could talk about something that was really, really easy or pleasant, or something that was not so easy and a little unpleasant, or something that surprised you in meditation, or something that you related to, or something that came up, or whatever that is. Anybody want to take a gander at that? Anyone who want to share what their experience was? Yes, go ahead, and then we'll get you, and then we'll get you there.
Yeah, so tonight I'm celebrating the 4th year of my mother passing. And I realized, I was like, oh no, it's around 7:20 p.m. That's when it happened 4 years ago. And so of course she was my benefactor.
That's awesome.
And I really liked how initially I'm like, can I send it to the other? Like, can I send my love to the other side?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was like going back and forth, and then of course as I turned around, it was like, oh, I'm feeling all this love, and then I'm like, oh, then I started to feel guilty, right? Like, I didn't send enough that way. And then you had said something like, just open up your heart, allow it in, or so I did, and it was this huge wish and little tingles and everything. It was, very interesting.
That is wonderful.
Very good to feel. It's a happy feeling.
Yeah.
It's good to be able to celebrate her.
Yeah, it's really interesting because it was like today is the 9th. So a couple of days ago, I remember I noticed that, oh man, like my own mother passed away, but it was literally 50 years ago. It was 1972, right? So, and I was really young. I was only like 6. And I never think of that because it happened so long ago, and that's a little memory and of that experience. But for some reason, I thought of that. It's interesting that you mentioned that. So thank you for bringing that up. And yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was going to mention that whenever you mentioned thinking about a benefactor, whenever there's really stressful times or whenever you're feeling a little bit emotionally strained, sometimes you think that you don't have a benefactor at all sometimes.
Yeah.
And when you were talking about focusing on a benefactor today, maybe start going through a Rolodex of people that you start to think more and more that you have a lot more benefactors than you think you might. And that benefactor doesn't have to be, your closest blood relative. So it just made me think a lot more expansively about the idea of a benefactor. Have a little bit of a stronger appreciation for those people who are your benefactors and not limiting that definition.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm glad you said that. You can even, because some people, to like a point you brought up earlier, some people like have a hard time thinking of the benefactor. Even if I give the instructions like really early on, which I did tonight, and the part of the meditation comes up, with benefactors, and it's like it's a real thing where people just like they just either like freeze or they just can't think of one, even given all of the examples. And what you can also do, and I didn't say this, is you can also think of something did for you, like a single act that was kind and generous that you can remember that somebody did for you. Hold the door open for you, or give you something that you needed, or whatever it might be. You can also do that. There's so much flexibility, especially this part of the meditation, that you could really work with. It's not always, I don't always give that particular instruction, but it's certainly available. I mean, you can certainly do that. Because you're right, if you go through your Rolodex, your mental Rolodex of all of the people in your life who have been kind to you or have done something nice to you, that's a giant Rolodex that we just don't seem to realize that we have. There are so many people in our lives who have been so wonderful to us, who I'm so grateful for. People who called me at the right time, or people I hung out with when I had a good time. Like when I got sober, years ago, all those people at the meeting or people who said hello to me and welcomed me. All of those people I can think of and be grateful for and wish them loving kindness and imagine they could all be my benefactor. All those people can be your benefactor. The list is almost endless, really, if we really think about it. But it's hard, growing up or living in this, toxic culture as we do. Easy to forget. Yes, ma'am.
I too felt that energy you were talking about. To me, it reminded me of this Tonka right up here, closest to me, Chenrezig Avalokiteshvara. So it reminded me of like the Buddha of compassion. And I've been getting a lot of lessons lately about forgiveness and like what is forgiveness, right? And how is it tied to loving kindness? And tonight I kind of just got the message that like, forgiveness comes in stages, especially when it has to do with like maybe our family or childhood trauma that most of us go through, adverse childhood experiences. And then maybe like that final stage is just wishing that person happiness, right? That's like the final stage of forgiveness, and it's such a beautiful place to be, to finally be like, I just want you to be happy. Let's let go of all that happened in the past. So that's kind of all the work I've done with trauma healing is leading me to that stage right now with my stepfather.
Yeah.
That's the difficult relationship that I'm forgiving.
Yeah.
So yes, thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that because, in all the years that I've been doing this, leading this meditation or other types of meditation here at the Dharma Bum Temple, I've been doing this just at this temple for like probably 14 years now. So it's, quite a long time. And there's been, thousands of people who have come through these doors. And the thing is that if you're here, you've probably experienced some sort of trauma at some point in your life, especially if you're older. Right? Or, if not trauma, just, difficult experiences. We've all had them. And that something like that hasn't been quite normalized yet. It's still somewhat stigmatized. And, I'm really I'm really into like, trauma healing and understanding like CPTSD and or complex PTSD and those different types of things and understanding all those, because, I've had to deal with that, it's part of my life experience, just a lot of trauma. There's a lot of it. And the thing that I feel, I think better about is that I'm not the only one. Plenty of other people, especially, since I, in recovery, all the other people in meetings and things like that, they've been through a lot of stuff too. And it's not just people in recovery, people not in recovery. They've been through a lot of stuff too. Like a lot of stuff. And that's still somewhat stigmatized. It's like we can't really talk about it. I love talking about it. And one of my favorite things to do is to talk about it. I'm on social media and especially like TikTok is like my favorite because, people you think TikTok, you think, oh, just young kids dancing. And it's not really like that. Certainly not the people I follow, because I follow like trauma therapists and medical doctors, and I follow attorneys, and I follow all these different types of people of things that I'm interested in, and they're all closer to my age, but they're all on TikTok making content. So this TikTok thing has really evolved. So I follow like maybe 20 therapists, many of them trauma therapists, a lot of women in STEM. It's really just the women who are STEM women who because they talk about like JWST and then that telescope and space and black holes and all things that I'm really interested in. I think that I think are fascinating. So that's another kind of community, which is kind of like quite wonderful. That's really, really helpful. So yeah. So Travis, who's doing the announcements? Is that you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. So Travis is going to have some announcements, and then we'll get to go ahead and dedicate Merritt. Dedicate Merritt.
Hello everyone, I'm tonight's host Travis. We opened the Dharma Temple 15 years ago to introduce Buddhist practice to those who show up. Those who lead are not nuns, monks, gurus, masters, or teachers, and are not looking for students. They are simply practitioners sharing their interpretation of the practice with others. Just about every night we have different classes led by different people from various Buddhist traditions. We have a recovery sangha that meets several times a week for anyone battling addiction, drugs, alcohol, or anything else for that matter. A family sangha for parents, kids, toddlers, and teens, which currently meets once a month. And we also offer a half-day silent retreat the first Saturday of the month. RSVP is no longer required for that. Everything we offer here is always free. The full schedule is on our website, and also posted the entryway above the shoe rack. We also have a lending library. If you see a book you like, feel free to borrow it and bring it back whenever you're done with it. We're starting pretty soon a Sangha Social, which will be once a month doing some kind of group activity outside of temple, whether that's going to monasteries or park or whatever that might be. More on that coming up soon. And food redistribution, where we gather every Thursday and go downtown to feed the people who sleep on the streets. That will be returning, we'll be doing one Thanksgiving, but that will be returning regularly in January. Please straighten your seat and cushion before you head out. Thank you for being here. We wish you all well and hope to see you all again.
Awesome. Thank you, Travis. All right. Again, thank you all for coming here. It's been wonderful to spend this time with you. Let's join our palms together at our hearts, please. May the benefits of this meditation, this discussion be received by all beings in all directions. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be joyful and at ease. May all beings be happy. May all beings be loved and seen for the beautiful, radiant beings that they are, that you are. Thank you for coming. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thanks.
Thank you.